So hello friends, in today's video I am going to talk whether NRI should file ITR return and if answer is yes, under what circumstances. So let's begin. So hello friends, my name is C. Arvind Tiwari and generally I make video on international taxation, NRI taxation, and now as you are aware the tax filing season is going on. So lots of NRIs friends might have this question in their mind whether they should file return this year or not. So this is the question answer of that I'm going to give in this video along with the different scenario where the filing return is mandatory. So let's begin. So first thing, I'm going to give you this answer on two bases. First, the legal basis, and second, on the practical basis. So in certain situations, there is no legal requirement, but it practically it makes sense to file IT return rather than going for a notice or something like that. So let's begin with the legal requirement when you should file your IT return. So first, very important thing if you have to understand, if your income is more than basic taxable limit, then it is mandatory for you to file income tax return. Even when you have paid the TDS, just paying TDS is not a compliance of income tax. So suppose in India, you are earning income more than say 2.5 lakh, or if you're a senior citizen, it's more than 3 lakh, or certain situation, it goes to 5 lakh rupees also. So you have to check according to your age and eligibility. So if your income is more than basic exemption limit, then you must file the return. This is a legal requirement. Second, most of people might understand that if there is a more than a basic exemption limit, then only they have to file return. But if your expenses are more than prescribed limit, then also it is mandatory to file income tax return. So as you might be confused, it is an income tax, so it is always on income. It's not like that. First thing I want to explain here, see, paying income tax and filing income tax return is completely two different aspects. So in certain situation, you may not have to pay any taxes, but you are required to file income tax return. And one of such aspect is when your expenses are more than prescribed limit. For example, you have paid more than 1 lakh rupees as an electricity bill in any year. You have paid more than 1 lakh rupees on any particular credit card from any one of your Indian bank. So if you have multiple credit card also and total expenses on through the credit card is more than 1 lakh rupees, you should file an income tax return. This is called a return filed again for the expenses. Now, if you have made certain investments more than certain limits, you should again file an income tax return. For example, if you have bought an FD more than 10 lakh rupees in a year, or you have invested in stock market or mutual fund more than 10 lakh rupees in a year, you should file income tax return, or you have to reply to compliances. So suppose in now the income tax I introduced something called a compliances. So there you have to go and you have to claim that whatever transaction is there, it is yours and you have done it. So if you do the compliance part also, it is also fine. And if you have not received any such compliance link, so better to file an income tax return where you have to declare nil income, but you have to show that you are filing income tax return under the requirement of excess expenses or excess investments. Now, another point, a legal point where you have to file income tax return is a loss. So as I told you, it's not always the income which makes you file income tax return. So it can be expenses or it can be a loss. So if you have incurred any loss, for example, you sold a house property and you have incurred some losses on that, so you have to file return so that you can carry forward that losses and you can adjust these losses in any upcoming years. Same way, suppose you sold some mutual fund or stocks and there you have incurred losses to whatever reason, you should file your income tax return so that you can carry forward these losses and you can adjust against future income. So it's very important. If you don't file the income tax return, your losses cannot be carried forward and it will expire. Last legal point I want to make it here. What if you have to claim refund? Now understand, until unless you don't file an income tax return, the income tax department will not come directly to you or suo moto, they will not refund you your money. To claim refund, it is very important to file return. And I have seen with my experience, most of NRI friends, they don't bother about that. See, understand, if you are earning rent, maybe your tenant deducting some amount, paying to your PAN card against your PAN card. if you are receiving any kind of interest dividend, there also the TDS is deducted, and all this TDS is deposited against your PAN number. You can check that logging into your income tax portal. Now, until unless you don't file a return, you can't claim. Now just understand, suppose you have earned an income of 3.5 lakh rupees or say 2.5 lakh rupees, and on that 10% income tax is deducted already as a TDS. So 25,000 refund is waiting for you to claim, but only thing you have to do the file. You have to file your income tax return. So it's very much important. A legal requirement is also there and a practical requirement also there. So if you see any refund, any like income tax deducted against your PAN number, you should approach the CA and file income tax return. Maybe he will charge 3-4,000 rupees, but suppose if the refund amount is bigger, maybe 20,000, 25,000, 50,000, then you should file return and you will get that refund. I have seen so many cases where there is lakhs of rupees are showing in the income tax portal, but because they have not filed the return, they cannot claim it now. So another point I'm telling you, if you forget to file your return on time, so you cannot claim the refund. Yes, in some cases, if you have to pay taxes, you can use those TDS credits to pay your taxes in future if there is any notice. But if there is no notice, no demand, your tax refund is expired. So these are the point which you have to consider, which is a legal requirement. Now, certain things I'm going to talk to you in certain situations which are a practical requirement, which I think in under that situation you should file your income tax return. So the first that practical scenario is where your income is fluctuating. So there are so many income tax like NRIs who has got multiple source of income in India. Like they're getting rent, they're getting interest on their bank account, they are getting some other income. Okay, and that these income keep fluctuating every year. So maybe it's possible that some year you forget to file return, but your income already exceeded the basic exemption limit. In that year, it's very high chances you will get a notice. So always it's better if your income is fluctuating and it's just like touching the basic exemption limit. Always on a safer side, you should file return. So this is first practical requirement. Sometimes people ask, sir, my income is this year is below. Should I file my income tax return? I say if it's going to be below always, like you are just making 1 lakh rupees year on year, you should not be worried. But if your income is some year going 3 lakh, some year going 2 lakh, some year going 5 lakh, better you make it a habit to file your return every year, because that way you will also claim your refund easily. Second, you will always have a peace of mind. So you can just appoint a CA who just remind you every year and just send your documents and your return will be filed. So nowadays filing return is very easy if you have somebody who can take care of that. Okay, now the last point as a practical, I generally say, which already I have explained a certain way, that if you have a regular income where the TDS is already deducted, even the income is less than 2.5 lakh rupees, it makes sense to file return, because whatever TDS is deposited in your income tax account, you can claim that as a refund. So if suppose 20-30,000 rupees doesn't make a sense to you, you can forget it. But if you feel that it is your income which is deducted and you should claim it, so you should always remember to file your income tax return. So this way, friends, I told you already that under what circumstances you should file your income tax return. And if you're filing any one of them, then just approach somebody. You can approach us also. My team will ensure that your return is filed before time in a proper way, error free. So that's all in this video. If you've got any other question related to income tax return filing, which income tax form you should use, okay, what is the source of income, where you have to disclose, please put as a comment and either me or my team will come back and respond on that questions. If there is a personalized questions, I will ask you not to put your personal detail in the comment section of this video. Better to send us on an email ID which is mentioned here, and then either me or my team will come back and respond on that. That's all in this video. Thank you. Have a nice day.